Hi, Sophia. How are you?
Hi, I'm good here.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. This is embarrassing, but I just make sure I've got, is this the right portfolio?
Yes, that's it.
Excellent. Okay, so my first bit of feedback is please put your name on your portfolio. um,
Yeah, I didn't
uh,
thought about it.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's one of those. Oh no, it's one of those little things. But when you've got really lovely work, you want people to know who did it.
hmm
Um, and yeah, that's so tell me a bit about you and the kind of stuff that you want to do.
Um, I studied fine arts, and I was doing completely different stuff there, traditional. Um, but I always wanted to pursue a more digital career,
Mhm.
and I was interested in drawing digitally. So I kind of self-learned this part.
Mhm.
Mm, and I'm not really sure where I'm going with the work I'm doing now because I cannot fit it in specific industry, and I'm not sure what I like the most because I like many styles, I like many uh, industries like I don't know children's book illustration and conceptual art, concept art. Yeah. So I usually draw for myself. These drawings are personal projects,
Mhm.
and I try to depict things that have value for me. It's like a personal journal, but visual.
Cool. And so is all of this? This is all. Is this digital work or traditional?
It's digital, most of it,
Mhm.
but there are two artworks here that are hand drawn. Okay.
And that's what this one and
This one
uh,
is half and half,
mhm.
digital and traditional, and there's one completely traditional at the end near.
Cool. I must say I love this one um, because the fox or the wolf, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
is just great. This brought a massive grin to my face when I saw this. Um, because yeah, that's a lovely bit of character design you've got there. Yeah, just so I just saw the squirrels and the eyes of the tree. That's great. Um, so yeah, I absolutely love this piece. This is right up my street. And so yeah, just to take me through it. Tell me about this one.
Okay. This is a bit older one.
Mhm.
Um, I was feeling very depressed at that time, and I wanted to depict that in an image. So I drew this character that I felt she was like me, and she was sitting in a rain. Um, and she had all these flowers that are like dying because she's like reflecting her feelings in the background.
Mhm.
Um, and I really like to play with the light and the effects and create like this mystery kind of characters that exist in a background that we don't know where exactly it exists, if it's in the reality or non-reality. Mm, but what I'm not happy with is that I feel that I don't put a lot of background details and I don't make my drawings as complex as I would like to. Like it's usually one character and some little things in the background. And I don't know how to take it a bit further.
Um, I think that I mean it depends on the drawing. I mean I think in this case, um, because the focus is the character and
Mm,
how she's feeling. Um, I don't think that the background is, you want much in the background, you know. I mean, it's kind of quite nice that she's by herself. I mean, not nice, but you know what I mean, in terms of as an illustration. And I think part of why this one really works is that you have this really nice contrast between the face that is rendered in a lot of detail and the kind of more kind of the silhouettes and the more kind of collagey. I mean, I know it's not collage, but it kind of has that kind of feeling to it. So I think that really works. I mean, I kind of lovely, like, background detail and stuff is fantastic for when it's appropriate, but not always. And I think in this case, it's kind of really nice, because what it has is a very intense mood and a concentration on the main character, and I think that's cool. I mean it really reads really well. So I wouldn't critique the background in this case.
Yes.
And this one, like, again, like, this kind of goes off in a kind of completely different style, because this one has this kind of lovely graphic kind of feeling to it. So tell me about this. Okay,
this is an old drawing. At first, originally, I had drawn this girl alone, without a background, different clothes, and I thought to do a redraw. And I started putting her clothes, and then I started trying to find what background she would fit in. And I made the window and the room, and I started playing with the light. And then, because I really like sci-fi aesthetics and space, I tried to make a story around it and make it look like she's studying space or the stars. And yeah, I really like to play with the visual, the light, and storytelling, kind of.
No, again, I mean, the sense of mood is really lovely. And I think I was smiling because you kind of described this kind of inside out kind of work process, you know, where you design the character and then you're kind of thinking, who is this person? Yes. And I do that as well. It's kind of, it's fun. It's funny when it happens.
Yeah.
And again, I like that this is kind of like a very different style from the one above. Are these your constellations?
Yes, I made this. What? Yeah. Yeah. Is this a problem? That's a different style.
No, I think it's. Okay. I think it's really nice. I mean, I think it's kind of, and again, what you're very good at, I think, is getting that character. And I think both of these have that. So no, I don't think the difference in style is a bad thing at all. I mean, again, if I was to be nitty-picky, and this is incredibly nitty-picky, I would say that you want to move the window a little bit, because her nose is right on the on the line. Yes. And I think if you were to move the window that way and up a little bit, her silhouette would be better. And also, you would see, because the window would be higher up, she's kind of looking up. I mean, as now, I think it's an odd one, but I think kind of if the window was a little bit higher, it would be a bit more kind of aspirational for her, you know, because she's more kind of looking up at it. I think the window's a bit too low for her. But I might just be saying that as a short person.
No, I agree.
But, I think that's kind of, from a story point of view, I mean, that's a tiny little thing, but I think the silhouette, I think, would also kind of help. And you could play with the other things you could do is kind of play with the composition more. You know, I mean, and this composition makes it very much about the character. But you could try, you know, kind of pushing the character into like one part of the frame and making the window more, you know, so that it's more about the universe, and she's kind of on the edge, staring out. I think it's kind of it's good to play with stuff like that. You know, when you want to kind of tell the story with the image.
Yes.
You know, and again, that's not a criticism of this picture, because you know, this is a picture about the character, but it's more something to kind of that you can play about with in general, just to just with little doodles and stuff like that, but kind of say, okay, well, you know, what would it be like if, you know, she was like the size of the telescope and the window was all of this, you know, kind of or you know, she was huge and the window was tiny. That like kind of these little things change the context of the story, and they're just worth playing with. And like I said, that is not in any way a critique of this particular drawing. It's just a general thing as to something that you can play with.
Yes, I agree. I don't have a lot of patience, and back then I didn't play around a lot with the composition. So I agree that it could be taken a step further and yeah, try more things.
So it's not I think the drawing is really nice. It's not a criticism of that. It's just a general. So this one's a bit dark. Tell me about this.
Yeah. I do a lot of like horror or sci-fi kind of things, but they're not like in the very dark side. They're somewhere in between. Okay, this I thought, what if a person would die and would go in the underworld, like he's falling, and his spirit separates from the matter, from the body. And I tried to depict that in a cartoony style, to make it more happy, because I don't really like realism that much. Yeah.
No, I think sorry, carry on. What were you saying?
Yeah, and I don't know. I like that you don't know where this character exists, like in what world. It's not in Earth. It's somewhere in the cartoon world.
Yeah, I think the cartooniness makes it much scarier for me. You know, so I mean, again, I love this stuff. But yeah, this is cool. It is. I've got no. You know, I would say that if you were aiming to be more cheerful, it's still really scary, but I like really scary, so that's cool.
Yes, I like it too.
This one we've talked about. I love this. Yeah, I've got nothing to say about this at all, apart from the fact that I love this. And yeah, I just I love your wolf. So is that a zombie hand?
Could be, or a
just a random hand. Just
it could be a hand from the doodles from behind, the doodle characters. Yeah, it's like a dark spirits from the forest are trying to get this girl.
So would it be better for her if it was a zombie?
No, it's not actually a zombie. I like to leave it in a place that we don't know what it is. It's like a creature of the fog, something like that.
Well, this one likewise, I kind of, yeah, I just kind of really like the approach. I think it's kind of cool. I think again, like these are great, and I love the messiness of them. You know, and I think that's kind of a really nice. That's a really nice contrast with how she's drawn. This is one I think where you could play with the background a little bit more. Like maybe the trees are a little bit too. I mean, if I had my art critic hat on, you know, it gives a sense of being trapped, maybe because it kind of, you know, gives these kind of bars. But I think kind of that maybe they stand out a little bit too much. If you want to kind of create the sense of kind of like a misty forest, because here it kind of blends off into this mist fantastically. And then I think these are just a little bit too sharp. I think these could be less distinct.
More realistic, or more?
Oh, no, just more, just make them kind of vaguer. You know, kind of like even less detail on them, so that these things become the focus. I think that, I don't think that they're distracting, but I think they just come forward too much. I think you want to push them into the mist.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Again, this is the kind of stuff I like. And so this one.
Okay. Again, I was thinking here to make a comic or something like that, but I'm not good at comics, and I don't have the patience to repeatedly make the same image again and again. But I wanted to make a sci-fi themed version. And I thought of a character lost in space after a big bang or her spaceship exploding. And she has like these little alien companions to make some more visual interest in the image. Yeah, and because I like effects and light, I try to play with the focal points again and try to make a background with the character.
No, I think it's really cool. I mean, again, my only comment would be, I think, to kind of vary these two, because I think they are the same character.
Yes, they are.
I think kind of that's. Yeah, I think you need a bit more story. I think she works really well, and the graphic nature of the background works really well. I think you want to think a bit more with the story for these two. Like they're connected to her, I think, with the color and stuff, but they need to be different, and maybe you know, think about how they're interacting. You know, it's one of them trying to kind of wake her, say, just as an example. But yeah, that's what I'd say with that one.
Yeah.
So here we have more dark, moody towers.
Yes. This was try to make something more concept art like. So I really like the moody video games that have these words that we don't know where they are. So I made these rocks that would be rock homes. And we have a place here in Greece that I live that's called Meteora, that has this kind of rocks, and I thought the idea from there. And they would, the people would pass from the one home to the other from bridges that look like ropes. And yeah, and maybe it didn't exist in the surface of a planet. It exists like underground or something like that.
I think if you want to, like for a concept art point of view thing, like this is kind of lovely for atmosphere. But all that stuff that you described, which I think is really good, you don't really get. I think partially because it's kind of too simple and it's too close on the towers. Like this is one I think where it's worth, you know, kind of either pulling out and seeing, like you said, if it's going to be underground, which I think will be fantastic, like how that works. Like if it's underground, you know, you've got these kind of ones coming up from the ground, but I mean, maybe there's some of them kind of come down from the roof as well. You know, there's all sorts of stuff that you could do if it's going to be underground. but yeah, I think for a concept art piece, I think you really need to put in more detail and think about things like the scale more. Like I think that these windows, for example, feel very large compared to the size of these steps or the bridges. And I think kind of that's my main thing with this, that the idea is really cool and you've really got the atmosphere, but you really want to kind of get into the detail and like you said, all that stuff that you were thinking about, kind of like, so it's underground, how they move between the houses, other stuff that kind of, you know, if you're thinking through kind of how they live down here, like, you know, could they have like pulleys for kind of sending stuff back and forth, or for, you know, winching stuff up and down. If it's just people living there, you know, is there stuff like laundry, you know, kind of hanging and stuff like that. I think all of those little details will really make it work. And if you're doing concept art, that's what they will look for. And I think this is one where you really want to kind of go and grab that reference, you know, of the place that you described, and kind of other stuff, like, you know, like if this is kind of how densely populated is this, you know, like, do you want to kind of look at the, you know, those kind of favelas in South America and get, you know, that sense of crowding and build some of that into this. Like, I'm not familiar with is this the place that you described? Is that where they have the monasteries on the?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, kind of those places are spectacular, but you don't feel that there's lots and lots of people living there.
No, here I thought more like those populated Chinese buildings, you know, that they have many apartments. And
yes.
I put it like cages in some windows, like it's prisons, because it's like a community, it's rock. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, you want to kind of bring in that kind of detail, which and you know, you need more windows, you know, if it's that densely packed, and those Chinese buildings are a great reference. But you could also think of something like, you know, because it's in the rocks, look at stuff like anthills and termite mounds, and you know, like, it doesn't have to be human necessarily, to kind of get that detail. But yeah, my main thing would be to say, yeah, you need to, excuse me, you know, maybe have one close to camera to see all this detail, but you really want to see, you know, pull out and have tons of stuff going on, you know, which will kind of, or have something that you specifically focus on, like kind of, you know, like there's, you know, somebody here doing something and that's your focus, and everything else is more kind of impressionistic. But again, it's giving that sense of life, I think, that this really needs. And so, what are these ones?
Okay, this was a try for a concept art game. We have formed a team, some people from various fields, and tried to make a video game for a mine. And the character would be something like an explorer and a miner. And he would go like adventure underground, find treasures that he would collect and stuff like that. And I tried to make some NPCs, characters that would exist there and he would come across, or nature he would see in there.
Cool. I think this is great. I think this kind of style is, I think, where you really want to be exploring your compositions and stuff like that. What we were talking about before, just these, you know, kind of thumbnails. I love the silhouette here. I think it's really nice. No, it's cool. Okay. I'm sorry. Well, because I'll just say that I really love this as well. And you know, really good work. And yeah, sorry, I blathered on, but it was yeah, it was beautiful work. Well, carry on.
Thank you.